Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Before we get into what we're going to get into this hour, which is kind of a continuation of something we've been doing, we've been getting a lot of calls about our event tomorrow. And I should mention it. I don't want you to think we forgot about it. Tomorrow is the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo. And for the first time in a long time, we are going to do our Cinco de Mayo broadcast on the actual date. Tomorrow. A live listener party from Camacho's Cantina and Grill, with site of some of our wildest listener parties, by the way. And it'll be from 3 until 7 tomorrow afternoon. Doors open around 2 or whenever we get done with the sound check. You got to be 21 or over, but there's no ticket necessary. Anybody who comes can come. And by the way, Camacho's has been around a long time. And on Cinco de Mayo, it's already off the hook whether we show up or not. So you can only imagine what kind of crowd is going to be there tomorrow. And as if that weren't enough, there will be a trip for 2 given away, all-inclusive, to Puerto Vallarta, courtesy of America West Airlines. The Likettes will be there. There will be a band of mariachis serenading you during some of the breaks in the show. And all I can tell you is that our past shows have been so wild, you must be there. You can bring a still camera, but no video cameras, and I mean that. We told you this in Seattle, and we're telling you this now in the City of Industry. If you show up with a video camera, some big gorilla at the door will abscond with it, and whether you'll get it back or not, I can't even tell you. My recommendation, don't even bring it. Don't even bring it. You're not going to be filming video of this and uploading it to a website or anything like that. It's not happening. Okay. So they will be checking. They'll be patting you down. Don't embarrass yourself, and don't lose your camera. Bring a still camera. All right, Poindexter? Very good. So it's tomorrow. Camacho's Cantina and Grill, 13101 Crossroads Parkway South. Do they even use addresses? Crossroads Parkway South is like a freeway exit. It's not even a real street, right? You take the 60 freeway to Crossroads Parkway South. And you can't miss it because there's a huge sign right on the 60 freeway hovering over the eastbound lanes. And you're there. And many of you have already been to Camacho's, so you know where it is. If you need directions to Camacho's, call them 562-695-5777. 562-695-5777. It's going to be wild. It's tomorrow at Camacho's, the Tom Leykis Cinco de Mayo broadcast. Wow. Everybody's looking forward to it. In fact, I know it's going to be good when I have friends who want to take the day off from work and come in the limo with me. They want to come to a broadcast. Okay. All right. Fine. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Here we are together again on the radio. A column in Parade Magazine written by Marilyn Vos Savant says that the textbook figure of children who think they have one father, but really it's another person, is about 10%, although she thinks it could be much higher. There was actually a statistic we saw recently that said it could be as high as 30%. That is, for every 100 guys you see, proud, beaming fathers, 30 of them are not the fathers of at least one of the children they think are there. Can you believe that? So we've been asking women who have pulled the wool over somebody's eyes to call in and tell us their stories. Now, this hour, I want to continue talking to women who have these stories, but I also want to talk about the men who have comments about this, or the men who have been victims of this. Because it's emotional and difficult for everybody. And I imagine the guy who's been putting money into the household, putting bread on the table, who has been putting all of his love and care and attention and taking the kid into the diaper changing table and whatever. A lot of these guys get ripping mad when they find out what's really going on. And some of them never find out. Our toll-free telephone number, 1-800-5800-TOM. It's 1-800-5800-866. Now, Linda, you've got a particular scenario. What is it?
Tom, you always cover topics that hit close to home, and I felt compelled to call because I've been married going on 2 years now, and I just have this strong suspicion that my stepson is not my husband's son.
What makes you think that?
They have no resemblance at all. My husband is like maybe 5'8", dark hair, brown eyes. He has like, a very kind of like pointy nose. And my stepson is, I don't know, 6'1", blonde hair, blue eyes. They just do not resemble each other at all.
Now, has your husband at all expressed suspicions about this to you?
I was really scared to bring it up to him, but it's just such a nagging doubt that one night I brought it up and I was scared how he was going to react. And when I brought it up, I could see it in his face that I think he has doubts too. So where do we go from here? Like it bothers me because it kind of affects our marriage because I'm 37 and I've never wanted children. And then thinking about having the stepson that maybe isn't even related to my husband at all. What?
He's already not related to you, and maybe he's not related to him.
Exactly.
Wow. Well,
I've been driving around fired up because hearing all these women call, it almost confirms my suspicion that this happens so often.
How old is your stepson?
He's 15.
All right, so your husband is still paying child support?
Oh, yeah. And we have him every other weekend. My husband has always made a point of being in his life.
All right, let me tell you what you're up against here. First of all, even if it turns out your husband is not the father of your stepson, he can't get out of paying child support in California.
I know.
So he's stuck.
But what I would hope to achieve is that maybe to relieve him of some guilt that he feels for not being in his life every day, if he were to happen to find out that, in fact, that is not his son.
Uh-huh. Does he love his son?
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
And how would it affect his feelings about his son if he found out that the son was not his?
I know. I don't know. I don't know. But you're right. It's an emotional topic because I don't know how it would affect him.
Right. And that's the question. How badly do you and he want to know the answer to this question?
I probably want to know more than he does.
Now, the fact that your husband's paying child support is certainly an issue. The fact that he'd get angry at his ex, certainly an issue. The fact that he could erode the relationship with his son or with the person he thinks is his son is an issue.
Yeah.
Now, if it's worth it to him to know the truth, knowing all of those things that could go south, well, then he should find out the truth. But that's a lot.
That is. So, I call in with maybe the similar situations, I don't know, of men that, how they feel when they find out.
Well, I know how I would feel. But see, the thing is, I don't have kids.
No, I know I don't either.
And I have said that if anybody's had my kid, please don't call me. Please don't call Oprah and have us have a joyful reunion on the Oprah Winfrey Show, because it won't be joyous. I just don't want to know. I don't want my life to change. I like my life the way it is.
Exactly.
The last thing I want to do is to feel other obligations or to feel guilty or be made to feel I did something wrong. I just don't want to feel it. So I don't want to know.
But, the women that are pulling the wool over their boyfriends or husbands' eyes, it doesn't just affect the kids. It can affect other people, too.
Of course.
Such as in my case.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. I don't know how women could do that.
Well, they do it because they want to do what's convenient for them. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So it's not necessarily the case at this point, where the boy is 15 years old, that you even want to upset the apple cart.
Right.
Just like I don't want to know if I have a kid, maybe he doesn't want to know if he doesn't.
And yeah.
And what if the kid doesn't want to know? Or what would it do to the kid?
Yeah.
What if you found out and the kid was traumatized by it?
That's true.
Now, I'll tell you what. If the kid were 5 and not 15, or 3 or 2, you bet I'd be going to find out. But if this boy were in my life for 15 years, and I loved him, and I couldn't get out of paying child support by proving otherwise, I mean, if that element existed, I'd suggest it. But it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
In California, they're going to nail your ass to the wall. They're going to say, tough luck. She successfully lied to you for 2 years, therefore you're the father. Done.
Yeah.
So I don't see how you benefit. Just an opinion.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was calling for your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I was calling for your opinion, and
Well,
thanks for giving it.
That's my opinion. My opinion is at this point, there's no benefit to finding out the truth.
So you think don't go digging in the dirt, just let it be?
Just because I don't think there's any benefit to it. You know what? If the boy comes to you and says, I've always wondered about this, let's consult again. But if he isn't curious, and there's no financial benefit to be gained, and there's no way you can strike back in a revengeful way at his ex for screwing around on it,
Yeah.
what do you gain?
Well, she got knocked up before they even got married.
Uh-huh.
So that's what even makes me think it's highly likely that he's not, because she got knocked up before they got married, and I think they were even broken up at the time, and then she came and told him that she was pregnant, and then a year later he married her, and it only lasted like a year and a half, and the rest is history.
I completely understand your dilemma, and I would resent the idea that I've been paying all these years and kowtowing to this bitch, and I would be angry that I was led to believe this was my son, and it wasn't my son, and I had this relationship. But at this point, I just don't see any benefit to upsetting the apple cart.
Tom Leykis. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-866.
I am just so appalled by the conversation going on tonight.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. And I just want to take a moment to thank our friends at the Grand Hyatt Seattle, who took great care of us when we were in Seattle last week. Grand Hyatt Seattle is located in the heart of downtown. It's a 4-diamond property. 400 guest rooms, including 113 suites with unbelievable views of the Seattle skyline. These are fully appointed rooms with electronic blackout curtains. And by the way, if you're like me, I can't sleep with any light in the room. You just press a button next to your headboard. Curtains come down. Feather beds, spacious bathrooms, deep, sunken bathtubs, and separate glass enclosed showers. It's just a great room, and it's great service, and they treat us great every time we're in town. So if you want to get the lowest rate at the Grand Hyatt Seattle, visit Hyatt.com. That's Hyatt.com. Get the lowest rate guaranteed when you're staying at places like the Grand Hyatt Seattle. We love it, and we love those people. They're just great to us. All right, I'm finding it hard to believe this next call, and I have a feeling you're not going to want to get out of your car if you were planning on getting out of your car. This is Bill on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Bill.
I was listening to your story, and this is a difficult story for me to tell because it's very humiliating, and I can't find the exact word to describe the mess that this has created. And I'm in my 40s. I was dating a younger girl, about 21, and we went to a social at her parents' house. And when I walked into the home, I recognized some of the pictures that were in the foyer. It was a girl I had dated 20-something years ago. And she was back in the kitchen getting things ready. I met her father, the girl I was dating, her father, and we're about the same age. And I said to myself, this was like a girl that I had dated back in high school and after high school. It was just sexual. It wasn't marriage serious kind of thing. Come to find out, when she came out of the kitchen, she looked at me and she recognized me. And it wasn't a happy feeling. She was horrified. And she looked at me, and then she looked at her daughter and looked back at me, and in that second it told me everything I needed to know. So it seems that, and I had never been aware of the fact that she had gotten pregnant before she was married to this guy. And it looks like that this girl was my daughter.
You were dating your own daughter?
I was screwing my daughter, Tom.
You didn't even know it?
I didn't even know it.
So, do you believe that the mother lied to her husband and said that this was his daughter?
I don't know what tangled web she weaved. All I know is that, it was that bizarre 3 to 5 seconds of looking at each other, and then she looked at the daughter and looked back at me, and as conversation went on, it was very, very difficult to stay in the house, and I eventually, really quickly stopped seeing her, and I've just been traumatized by this. So
imagine if she got pregnant.
I thank God she didn't. So this is a warning to all you females who think that getting some on the side, screwing around, is a rewarding thing, the mess that you can create. And I just wanted to call in and get this out, not so much that I want any publicity from this, because I don't want her to realize what has happened, because this will...
So really, she doesn't know?
She doesn't know. The daughter doesn't know. The mother knows, but she doesn't know. The husband doesn't know. So...
I mean, you must think back on that.
There was too many things that were said during the course of that dinner that we all sat around and discussed that said it was my child. The time frame, the memories, because he went to the same high school, but we didn't know each other. We were in different circles.
And you had sex with your daughter. You must think back about that.
Yes.
How does that feel?
I don't think there's a word for it. I mean, I'm traumatized by this whole thing to what...
The Tom Leykis Show. This is the Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles at 1-800-5800-TOM. That last call was pretty outrageous. I'm sorry you missed it if you did. We are talking about people who have had children, and the wife or the girlfriend lets the husband or boyfriend think that the kids are his when really one or more of them are not. And amazing stories we're getting here. Soda on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay.
Good. You want to start at the beginning of my story, or you just want to get to the final ending?
No, tell us the story.
Okay, well, 3 years ago, I got pregnant, of course, and I was with this guy that I guess you could say it's one of those ongoing hookups, and I got pregnant, and from the place that, the doctor that I went to, they were like, oh, you're so many weeks, and I said, okay, so I went to my regular doctor, and the doctor told me, my regular doctor, gyno, told me that I was so far along, and so the first guy ended up going to jail, and I ended up calling my ex, who I was with before, the hookup, and I told him, hey, there's a 50% chance that you might be this baby's father. And I kept telling for 3 years, I kept telling both of them that, hey, you guys have a 50% chance. And I let them both know that, hey, 50 it is, and I'm sorry, and I hope you understand, that I screwed up, and this is what happened. And, of course they understood. But, as they, came over different times, they never met, because I just wanted to make sure that they would never meet because confrontation. And, that, you know, what happened was, you know, I would just let them know that, hey, you know, I know that you're attached emotionally. And I keep, you know, telling you, try not to get too emotional because this may or may not be your daughter. And, you know, of course, yes, you know, I understand. And, you know, you just don't understand because this is my daughter. And I'm like, okay, but I'm just telling you now, she may not be your daughter.
And you already knew it was not his daughter.
Well, you know, like I said, it was a 50% chance because, you know, all my friends were like, oh, well, she looks like so-and-so, and oh, no, she looks like so-and-so. So it's like, you know, I have my friends and my family telling me that it was like, my family was split. So it was like my cousins would tell me this, and my sister would tell me this, my mom would tell me, you know, and it's really hard to tell, you know, when you got two people and you're emotionally involved, you know, because me personally, I'm not the type of person that just says, okay, whatever, I'm going to use you for your money.
You could have just had a DNA test.
That's what I did.
And?
I paid for it out of pocket because I got sick and tired of them telling me. And I said, you know what, you're telling me that you want to pay for it, whatever. Let me just, you know, fork up $600, which is cheap compared to what I've heard before. And I did it, and I found out that it was my ex-boyfriend. And I told him, and he was very, very happy. And I told, you know, the hookup guy, and he seemed hurt, and he hung up in my face, and you know, he called back, and, you know, I told him, you know, and he was like, well, what about child support? Because his name was down, you know, for child support, and I told him I'd take care of it. And unfortunately, the way the system works is that the father that's written down has to take care of it. So I've contacted his, I guess.
Yeah, but doesn't he have like 2 years to prove he's not the father?
No, you know what's so funny is that as long as it's an open case, you have many years. It's depending on if the judge closes the case. See,
Wow. Wow.
Exactly. So, like, the case could be open for, you know, who knows. But since it's open and she'll be 4 in November, which, you know, it's so far away, but still, you know, she's 3. And, you know, I contacted his parole agent, and I told him, I said, you know, you've got to get in contact with him. Because I'm like this, if you know, my daughter is not his, you know, daughter. And I feel, why should somebody who's not related pay for something that is not his?
Well, unless you're collecting welfare. Don't tell me you're collecting welfare.
You know, I was for a short time. I'd say for about 3 to 4 months. And, you know, it was probably the worst time of my life until I got a job, which isn't the best job, you know. So... But I did contact, and so right now we're going through the courts out in L.A., trying to get him off, you know, supporting, so.
How did you get to be so reckless?
I have to say drugs. I mean, that sounds really bad, but, you know, honestly, that, you know, when, you know, I feel that, you know, as a female, I'm not going to say woman, girl, lady, but as a female, that, you know, most women, you know, once we get something that intoxicates us, we just, you know, really excuse my language, I'm sorry, you know, and, you know, we really don't think, we're just like, oh, this feels good, and oh, this and this and that, and, you know, it's right there, you know, right there at the tip, and we're just like, okay, whatever, we don't need a condom. So, you know, I basically screwed up, you know, as far as that, but, you know, I paid for everything. I'm supporting her, and it is a step back, you know, and I hope that, you know, you are a professor, and I have to, you know, commend you for that, because you really are giving you a life lesson by having, you know, your different talk shows, your different shows every day, by letting people know that, hey, you know, this is how it's supposed to be, don't let this happen to you, and I'm an example, and I wish that I would have listened to you a couple of years ago.
I wish you had too. Hang on a second, Soda. David, what did you want to say to Soda?
Soda?
Hi, David.
Yeah. You have 3 years that you're telling these people not to get involved with their kids. Don't get too attached.
No. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish.
Are you retarded? How could you possibly expect someone not to get attached to a kid after 3 years? Why did it take you so long? What do you live in Arkansas?
No, honestly, you know, and they were the one that kept telling me that they were going to pay for half of the, you know, the blood tests and stuff like that, and I really don't think that I'm an idiot or retarded, you know, because of it, but, I mean, who ended up paying for it anyway? I did, because it showed that, as a man, that they didn't want to pay for it. They really didn't want to know if that was their child or not, You know, and I was the one that, you know, fished out $600 because I wanted to know.
After 3 years, $600? As a human being, don't you owe that to your daughter?
And I did it.
Oh, yeah, 3 years later. That's real big of you.
Well, thank you.
It's women like you that, thank God you're on the air, Tom, because you have to warn people. I don't know what kind of guy that would sit there and take that for 3 years
wait a
anyway.
Minute. There's a lot of women, you know, that don't want to find out, that don't really care, that really want to abuse the men and want to say, okay, this is your daughter who's not your daughter. And I'm the one that finally said, okay, you know, I'm fed up. Yes, you know, you're right, David. You are absolutely right. I was an idiot for taking 3 years, and I commend you for, you know, calling me on it. But I stood up and I said, you know, I'm tired of, you know, them saying that I'm going to pay for half of it. And I said, forget it. If you're really going to BS it, let me just put up. You know,
you call up like you're some kind of victim and, this could happen, this could happen. Use some common sense.
No,
Good
you know,
Lord. You know, it's people like you that are raising kids that make the rest of us not want to have kids.
Well, you know, and I'm suggesting you don't have kids.
You should be the poster child for birth control. You really should.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, and you know that's why I called. You know, and I'm glad that you know you're here to go against what I say. And you know, I suggest to every male to get the blood test, like Tom Leykis has said. You know, and every woman to be upfront and honest. You know.
How about using protection?
Like I said, I was on drugs. I wasn't thinking at the time, and that was my big mistake. And you know, I made it, and you know, they don't, you know, her father doesn't want to come into the picture, you know, and what should I do, you know?
And how'd you end up with a guy who went to prison?
Good sex gone bad.
And what did he do to go to prison?
He was a pharmaceutical salesman without a license.
A drug dealer?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
I'm not asking somebody to support me. I'm asking somebody to be my better half.
More intelligent than you are.
Yeah, I just want a guy to be my equal. It'd be great if he made more money than I
got your equal right here.
Yeah, I bet you do.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
It's Andy. Hello.
Hi, I wanted to call and laugh at that man who had sex with his daughter.
Yes.
I think it's hilarious that he's having sex with a 21-year-old. He's in his early 40s, and that he sums the whole experience up to women messing around. Because when she had sex with him, she didn't ask for anything when she got pregnant. She didn't contact him and ask for child support. She just had the baby. And he sums the whole experience up to, this is a warning to you women who are messing around. No, it's a warning to men who are having sex with women that could be their daughter. That's how I think about it.
You know what? I think you make a good point. By the way, I've banged chicks that young.
Yeah, and you know, that's not my issue. My issue is, like, if you're going to bang girls that young, don't make it the woman's fault that you're doing it, you know, because she...
Yeah, you're lucky you got off the hook.
Exactly. I just thought, what a fool. You know, I don't care how old the girls are he bangs, but it's just so fascinating to me that he summed it up that way.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say.
Yeah, I think you know what? I have to tell you. You make a very good point.
Thank you, Tom. That's all I got.
All right. Now, what are you saying, Gary? Wait a minute. Gary, the chick, you mean, well, responsibility for what? Did he want to know he had a daughter? Like, for example, if it was me, if I fathered a daughter, and later on I found out that I'd be happy that I wasn't told, that I didn't have to pay. I'm looking at it from my point of view. Now, maybe this guy would have wanted to have a relationship with his daughter, would have wanted to participate in her upbringing, whatever, and so he would not only feel terrible, but on top of that, he banged her. In my case, I'd be thrilled that I got off the hook for 21 years of child support, 21 years of visitation and negative backbiting with the chick who I knocked up and all of that. I'd be thrilled I got off the hook. So it just depends on your point of view. I do know there are a lot of guys out there who, if they found out they had a daughter when she turned 21, they'd be pissed that he didn't get to they would get pissed they didn't get to participate in her upbringing. Me, I'd feel relief that I didn't have to do that. I'd still be kind of grossed out by the fact that I had sex with my own daughter. That's creepy. You know, it's something guys may have fantasized about when you have one of those real creepy fantasies, but I think the reality of that has got to be horrendous. Just horrendous. Wow. This is Jason on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Jason.
Hey, I just wanted to say, first off, I wanted to say thank you very much. You were the one that ended up pulling my head out of my you-know-what. It made me realize my ex-wife was screwing around on me. And turned out after a year and a half while we're in the middle of our divorce, you know, I suspected that my daughter wasn't mine at 1.5. So I forced her in court to have a paternity test, and turned out I was right. Turns out the father of her is my best friend, or was my best friend.
How'd you find that out?
She looks just like him.
And your ex admitted that?
No, she is, to this day, has denied. She says it was a one-night stand with some guy from a bar. But she had only had our son not 3 months prior to that when she got pregnant.
And what about your buddy? Have you talked to him about it?
No, because if I do, I'll end up going to jail, and I'm not going to ruin my son's life.
So the two of you are not talking?
No, not at all. He's living with her.
He's living with her?
Yes, he is.
But your ex still denies that he's the father of the child?
That is correct. Everybody in my family, who's seen my daughter, knows 100% she is his, because he looks just like her other daughter. His other daughter, excuse me.
Wow. And you got the test because you heard us talking about that?
I got the test. I was an over-the-road truck driver at the time, and so I was home. I was only home, 5 days every month, month and a half, 2 months. And I just got to thinking, listening to you, and one day in upstate New York, it just clicked. You know what? She is screwing around on me. And, not a month or two later, we decided to get divorced, and I said, well, I want a DNA test. I want you to prove she's my daughter. Well, no, I'm not going to do it. Well, why not? She's your daughter. I never screwed around on you. Okay, so we went to court, and I forced it, and when we were standing in front of the judge, she said, well, yeah, there is a really good likelihood she's not mine. So I paid the $600. I got the DNA test, and I had my heart ripped out from my chest.
And she continued to deny it even after you had the DNA test?
No, at that point she came clean in court, saying there was a very good likelihood that she wasn't mine. But she's denying who the father is.
And she made you go through all that?
She made me go through all that. In our divorce paperwork, it states that I get to have my daughter just as often as I get to have my son.
And do you have to pay child support?
No. I have no legal responsibility to her at all.
Good.
But I told her, here's what I threw back at her. I go, hey, let's do this. You say he's not her father. Okay, fine. You don't know who her father is then. Let's get another DNA test. You prove he's not her father, and I will adopt her as mine. Because I love her. She's my daughter. I will always love her. I see her twice a weekend when I pick my son up and I drop him off.
And your ex-wife is so anxious to hide the truth.
That's right.
That she would refuse that offer.
That's right. She refused it. And, I have to comment on a caller of yours earlier this hour who, the 15-year-old stepson.
Yeah.
Don't go there. She's being selfish because, you know what? My daughter was mine for a year and a half. And the pain I went through just after a year and a half and then finding out. I couldn't imagine what it would be like for this man finding out 15 years later, let alone what's it going to do to the son.
Yeah, I don't see any benefit from finding out the truth there.
Tom Leykis. 800 Tom.
I think you're a misogynist.
A what?
A misogynist.
A misogynist. What is that?
That's a person who doesn't like women.
A misogynist.
M-I-S. Well, I don't want to spell it. Let me tell you what I called you.
Can you spell it?
Yes, I can.
Really? Go ahead.
M-Y-S-G-O-N-I-S-T-I-C.
Misogynist.
Yeah. The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Herb on the Tom Leykis Show. Real quickly, Herb.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Okay.
Well, I have 4 kids. 2 of them are with my soon-to-be ex-wife. One of them, about 12 years old, who was a fling that I had, and my wife actually caught me in that fling, had a baby from it, and never proved that it was my kid. And the woman never pushed the issue, never said she wanted child support or anything. She wanted her husband to think that it was her child. He made more money than I did, and she would get more child support from him.
Oh, my God, how complicated these things get. By the way, we're going to be at Camacho's tomorrow. Crossroads Parkway exit of the 60 Freeway East. Big listener party, baby.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are together again on the radio. I'm sure most of you don't read Parade magazine. Maybe your grandparents have read it. Maybe your parents. I don't know. But you haven't. In fact, Parade magazine comes with the Los Angeles Times every week, and I almost never look at it. And the rare time that I open it up, I see in there, like, it's the same features. And what looked like the same ads that were in there the last time I read it, whatever year that was. One of the features is a question and answer column called Ask Marilyn, written by somebody called Marilyn Vos Savant. And with a name like that, would you be surprised if you knew that she's in the Guinness Book of World Records Hall of Fame for having the highest IQ? Is that her real name, Savant? Come on. All right. Anyway, a reader writes in to Marilyn Vos Savant because she's just so super smart. They think she knows everything. Of course, like anybody else, you know, Parade magazine's probably published 6 months in advance. She probably has like weeks to look this stuff up. But nonetheless, here it is. Steve Davis of Gaithersburg, Maryland, writes in to Marilyn Vos Savant. He says, what percentage of children in the United States are not biologically fathered by their mother's husbands? I don't mean children of previous marriages or adoptions or cases in which the man knows he's not the genetic parent. Instead, I mean children born to women whose husbands are unknowingly raising a child that was fathered by another man. That was Steve Davis in Gaithersburg. And the response from Marilyn Vos Savant, the woman in the Guinness Book of World Records having the highest IQ ever recorded, says, brace yourself, the textbook figure is 10%. Based on genetic counselors stumbling across many cases of discrepant fatherhood in the course of testing for inheritable diseases. No formal studies are available for obvious reasons. And the actual figure may be higher still. One would assume that the mothers would go to great lengths to keep their secrets, possibly even avoiding certain medical tests unless absolutely necessary. Now, we read recently a statistic that showed that, I guess they monitored paternity tests, specifically paternity tests, and found that not 10%, not even 20%, but 30% of the children out there, you're looking at your mommy and daddy, and guess what? That may be your mommy. 30% of you, it's not your daddy. Not for real. It's not. Your mommy got nailed by somebody else and kept it a secret. Think about it. For every 10 kids you see out there, 3 of them think their daddy is one person and he's really somebody else. Not only that, for every proud dad you see out there, every 10 proud dad you see out there, 3 of them are not dads at all. Now, I have told my listeners many times, I've said, you know what you should do? You don't need your wife or your girlfriend to do a DNA test. Swing a swab through your kid's mouth and take it in for analysis. See if your DNA, boys, matches the DNA of your kids. I think a lot of you are too afraid to do that. Don't have the balls to do it. couldn't cope with the reality of it. And so, for those of you who are in denial about this, here's what I'm going to do this hour. I'm going to talk to women. I want to find out if you have children that your husband or boyfriend thinks are his, but they're really not. He doesn't have a clue. I want you to tell me how many kids you have like that. I want you to tell me why you've kept it a secret. What you think the odds are that secret's going to get out. So, ladies, and ladies only this hour, if you have children and your husband or your boyfriend thinks they're his, but they're not, tell us all about it.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
Do you care, Elise?
You know what? I really don't, but that's okay. I got on the air.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. We're going to show you just how common this is, boys. I'm going to talk to women only this hour at 1-800-5800-TOM. We're hanging up on all the men calling in, so it's just women. And we're going to find out from you. You have 1, 2, 3 more children? Are any or all of them fathered by somebody other than the person who thinks they're the father? Do tell. Michelle on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Michelle.
I have a 17-year-old daughter that my husband has no clue.
You have a 17-year-old daughter, and your husband thinks he's the father.
Yes.
And, without giving us his name, who's the real father?
Just a fling. I was still going to college whenever I was married, and it was just a fling not long after we were married.
And how do you know that your husband is not the father?
He was going to school in another state.
So how did you fool him? I mean, if he's going to school in another state, what made him think he's the father?
Well, I still saw him. I was able to do the dates wrong as far as what I told him and the dates that I kept.
I see. And you've kept this secret for 17 or actually 18 years.
Almost 18. She'll be 18 in October.
And why do you think that was the right thing to do?
I was young, didn't know any better to, tell the truth. I was newly married, and I still loved him.
I know that, but you didn't love him so much that you didn't jump into bed with somebody else.
Well, no, that's true.
And did you ever see that guy again?
No.
Does he know he has a child?
No.
And does your daughter look like your husband?
She looks more like me, so it's never been questioned or anything like that.
Does anybody know the truth?
You and whoever else I'm telling.
Right, but I mean nobody, like you don't have a best friend or a sister or somebody who knows?
No.
So your parents don't know?
No, nobody knows.
Wow.
I always knew it was easier that way and that it wouldn't get out.
Is it easy, though? I mean, keeping a secret like that for 18 years?
I really don't ever think about it until I hear something like talking about it.
I mean, you hear how adopted kids worry about things like their medical records and...
Sure.
Whether they're likely to get certain diseases, or certain disabilities, whatever.
That is one thing that I've always had in the back of my mind is if something like that would happen, but...
I mean, do you know where the father is or anything about him?
Sure. Yeah, I can locate him.
You do. When's the last time you were in touch with him?
Oh, he went to school that same semester that I did. It was back the 20 years ago, or the 18 years ago.
So you never saw or heard of him after that?
No.
Does your husband know who he is?
No.
Wow. And how did the fling happen?
Oh, sorority party.
Oh, you got drunk or something?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
No, it wasn't, because it's a lot that I have to deal with, internally. myself, but I made the decision early on not to tell anybody. And
do you think you'll ever tell the truth, or no?
No, I don't.
Wow. And if your husband knew the truth, would he stay or go?
This far into it, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Amazing. Well, I really appreciate you telling us the story because, as I say, there's a lot of guys out there who are like, oh, yeah, this is my kid. Oh, yeah.
You know what? It happens a lot. Just like a lot of guys think that women won't cheat, and they do all the time.
Yeah, I
They're
know
probably some of the sneakiest compared to men.
Is that the last time you cheated on your husband, by the way?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And is that the reason you never cheated on him again?
Yes, it is. It had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And plus maturing.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
And did he ever cheat on you that you know of?
No, not that I know of.
Uh-huh. Now, let me give you one more scenario.
Okay.
Let's say one day a knock comes at the door, and you open the door, and I'm not talking about your ex now, your fling.
Okay.
Let's say a 15-year-old girl shows up at your door and says that she's your husband's daughter. What would you do?
What would I do? I would have a lot of understanding. It still wouldn't bring me to tell him about my daughter or our daughter.
What would you say something like, "That's it, I'm leaving you"?
That's hard to say. I mean, I'm pretty mellow now, so, and plus I'm not stupid. I'm not naive. If it happens, it happens. I don't know. It's one of those things that you'd have to be in the moment to really be able to tell what you would do.
Well, but knowing what you know about yourself, wouldn't it be kind of hypocritical to even consider leaving your husband?
Well, I think that's why I would be more understanding and more willing to, learn about it and figure it out and stick it out.
Yeah. And he would have no idea why you were so understanding. He'd just think you're just this understanding person.
Oh, no, that would be so far-fetched for him to think of on his own. He'd have to have some reason to think about it.
Yeah. All right, Michelle. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Lynn on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and my current fiance has no idea that he's not the father.
How did you get knocked up?
Well, it was just some night. He was out of town, and I was at a party. Like, my girlfriends took me out because they're like, oh, well, he's out of town. You need to have some fun. And I went to this party, and I got kind of crazy, and one thing led to another, and I ended up, banging this dude. Come to find out that I'm pregnant because I skipped my period, and then told he was my boyfriend then. I was like, well, it's yours, blase, and he still thinks it's his.
And why did you tell him it's his?
Because I didn't want to, because I have no idea, because I felt horrible. And I don't know.
How do you know it's not his?
Oh, I know it's not his.
How do you know?
Because he was gone for like 2 weeks. And the time period that it happened in, I know it wasn't his.
Mm-hmm. So, you could just give him the option of knowing and then let him decide if he wants to.
I could, but he loves my daughter, so I don't know, it'd break his heart. And
you weren't worried about that at the time.
Oh, I know, but at the time it was kind of like, I was 17 years old. What are you going to do? I don't know. You feel better with the stability.
Oh, well, that's sure. It benefits you for sure.
I know.
It's all about you.
Well, of course it was. I was 17 years
But no,
old.
but it still is. Because you're lying to this guy and you're going to marry him now?
Yeah, I could tell him.
And then he becomes legally responsible?
Yeah. I guess I could tell him and leave it up to him. It'd probably be better to tell him now than him finding out later on.
Well, and don't you think that's possible?
Yeah, I'm sure it could be.
I mean, somebody knows this happened.
Oh, my girlfriends do.
Yeah, and there's another thing. This is something I've talked about in the air so many times. Your girlfriends know. Your girlfriends are closer to you than your fiancé.
Yeah.
The intimacy in your relationship has been eroded by this. Because now your girlfriends know something about you that your own husband won't know.
That's true.
And you're going to feel good about that?
No, I haven't felt good about it for 2.5 years.
Well, dear, if you didn't feel good about it, you'd have told the truth.
Yeah, kind of. No. It's hard to explain. I mean, no, it's not hard to explain because you're thinking, why isn't she just telling him because she feels bad? But
no, you want the convenience and security of having some guy who loves you and is too stupid to know that you went out and got knocked up without him.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's true. But I have no idea.
I mean, just imagine your girlfriends know you better than your fiancé.
Well, in that general area, yeah.
Well, that's a pretty big area.
I know.
I mean, if you really love him, why wouldn't you tell him?
That's a good point.
And then let it be his decision.
I guess that makes sense.
Before you get married to him.
Yeah, yeah.
What if you got married to him and then he found out?
That would totally suck.
It could happen.
I know it could happen. Girls talk.
They certainly do. You think all your friends haven't told other people?
Yeah, I've found out about a couple of times when people come up to me, and luckily it's nobody my fiance knows. But
So far.
I know.
So far.
So far.
But do you live in a big city like New York or Chicago?
No, I'm
No.
in a small town.
Small town. So what do you think will happen eventually? Somebody is going to tell it to somebody who works with your boyfriend.
And it's going to come full circle and bite me in the ass. Yeah.
That's right. Then you'll really be alone.
I've
And I'll tell you what, if I found that out after you lied to me and made me marry you, I would be out that day. I wouldn't wait around for your explanation. You know what I'm saying? Good luck, Lynn.
The Tom Leykis Show. This is the Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles, 1-800-5800-TOM. Ladies, one of your children, or maybe more, is not the child of the man you're married to or that you live with. The person who thinks he's the father is not the father. Call us and tell us. Lynn on the Tom Leykis Show.
Tom, another Lynn.
Yeah.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
I've been compelled to call you several times, but I didn't want you to rip me apart, but I really needed to call you today. I have 2 daughters, and one of them is by who they consider to be their father, the other one is not. And the youngest one who is not does not know. She's 25 years old.
She doesn't know.
No.
And,
Nobody knows.
and this is what, your ex-husband?
Yes.
And how did the marriage end? Was it because of infidelity or some other reason?
God, we only knew each other for 2 weeks when we got married, so it was kind of indifference.
Yeah.
You know, it was infidelity on my part. I'm not going to blame him. It's infidelity on my part.
Right.
I was bored, and as you talked about, wanted something more exciting out there and thought that there was something better out there for me. And when I started looking for something better out there for me, things have steadily gone downhill.
Wow. So you had it better before?
With him? With him?
Did you?
Yes. Yes. We were very stable. But I wanted some excitement in my life and thought that I could get it by being with someone else. And the reason I'm really concerned is his family's got some long-running hereditary mental problems.
Are you talking about the man you had the fling with?
No. No.
Your ex-husband?
My ex-husband, yeah. And so both of my daughters are concerned about picking that up as they grow older.
So wait, how ironic is this? You've got good news.
I know that the youngest one is okay with what...
But you can't tell her.
But I can't tell her.
So she has to spend her life worrying about getting Alzheimer's or whatever.
Yes.
And in reality, she has nothing to worry about.
Correct.
Oh, my
and
God.
that's selfish on my part. I know.
Wow.
And like I said, I haven't told anybody.
Now, was the reason you didn't tell because you wanted to get child support?
No. It was never that. It was because he loves them so much, I didn't want to break that bond between him and my daughters.
Wow.
And the real father is not a real great person.
How did that happen?
Somebody I worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after my husband and I got a divorce, I lived with him for a short while, and he was physically abusive and just out there.
But as usual, that's the guy that gets you really hot.
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, he did. And like I said, and then things steadily went downhill from relationship to relationship. Things went downhill. And the other day you talked to somebody about women that are in relationships that are abusive, and I wanted to call you that day and say they only get worse as you move from relationship to relationship. They don't get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, like I'm like really in a quandary right now. But like I said, she's 25. I don't even know what to do.
And you've thought about the possibility of telling her?
Yes.
That which would mean your ex-husband would find out.
Well, you know what? I think I'm not sure, but he's got to know. But she worships him. And all of a sudden, at 25 years old, that would not be her father anymore. That's, I just have a serious issue with that.
Hang on a second here, Lynn. Jennifer, what did you want to say to Lynn?
Oh, my God, this woman is a loser. I don't know how you can possibly even live with yourself doing this to your child. And, first, to breed in the first place, that's one thing. But, you're just disgusting. You are disgusting. All of these women, Tom, that are calling today, disgusting. Losers.
You didn't know it was this common, did you?
Oh, my God. It is like, Tom, in the Tom Leykis forum, women have a bad enough image. And then all these nasty, women who, you want to go out and bang a guy, go ahead and do it. But you know what? Protect yourself. And then if you're not going to protect yourself and get knocked up by it, either get an abortion, one, but don't take some, guy. I'm not saying the guy is good, especially this man, wife beater or whatever, but don't, how can you perpetuate a lie like that and live like that? And how can you, I don't know how she could even sleep with herself, this one. That is just nasty. Nasty. You are nasty, woman. Disgusting.
Jennifer, thank you for that. Now, Lynn, did Lynn go away?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I was listening to her.
Yeah. Now that she's gone, did you want to react to that at all?
No, I've already created such low self-esteem issues in my own life because of this that I don't need to hear that from somebody like that. I'm sure she has her low self-esteem issues and her problems too. But that's not my place to... I would never call and tell somebody that they were a loser. No, I wouldn't do that because all of us have our own crosses to bear.
Now, Lynn, you've debated telling this to your daughter. How close are you to doing something?
I don't think I'll ever do it.
You don't think you will? Wow.
I don't think I will. It's just, and as she said, how can I live with myself or sleep at night? My life's a mess, and it's because, like I said, things have steadily gone downhill because I made this mistake. And she's right, I don't sleep much at night, and my life is a mess.
Wow.
But, but that's the choice I made a bad choice that I made, and it's something I have to live with.
And did you try to prevent this birth? Did you use birth control?
No.
No.
I'm not going to lie. No, I did not.
Why not?
I just didn't. I was carefree. I didn't care. Did not care.
Wow.
So,
And the guy who is the real father, does he know he has a daughter?
Yes, he does. He lives in the same town as her. They see each other occasionally throughout town. And he knows that's his daughter, and she knows that we were in a relationship together because I had custody of my daughters when I lived with him. And she hates him. She talks bad about him, and she hates him. And I cannot tell her.
And was he married to somebody or involved with somebody at the time? No. Wow. That's an amazing story, but there's a lot of guys in your ex-husband's position, a lot of them.
So, thank you for letting me talk to you. You know, like I said, in the beginning I listened to you a couple times and I said, I'm not listening to him anymore because he's a chauvinist. And then I got hooked, like on caffeine.
Yeah, well,
I listen to you every day now.
We just tell the truth around here. That's all we do.
Yeah.
And we let the callers tell the truth, too. And thanks for telling your story.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate it.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
The radio woman on the radio getting the same ratings that you're getting, she doesn't deserve to get paid the same.
I'm not talking... Well, put it this way. No woman gets the ratings I get.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. All right, there you are, ladies. You're with a guy. Maybe you're married to him. Maybe you live with him, whatever. You've got kids. And he thinks he is the proud father of your children. All of them. But he's not. Jill on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
It's the first time I ever called into your show. I wanted to comment on this because this happened to me. And I had a fiancé who believed that the child that we had was his, and it wasn't. And before we got married, he was kind of a mama's boy. His mom insisted that we do a paternity test, and it came back saying he wasn't. So, and no one knew. My family didn't know. His family didn't know. I didn't tell my friends. And just to let the other women out there know who've done this, especially if your children are young or you're pregnant, that it's not worth it.
Because, of course, you didn't get married.
No. Oh, no.
What was that scenario like? Tell me what it was like when he saw that paternity test for the first time.
It was horrible. It was horrible. He actually, he was in the military, and he wouldn't even see me. He called me and said, nice try, bleep, and that's the last time he ever talked to me. And not only that, but the other guy was a one-night stand. I knew his first name, that's it. I had to call my friend, ask her if she remembered the guy she dated and his friend at that party so that I could get a hold of him.
So you could nail him for child support?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really it was a thing where at the time I was 17 years old. I had to do something.
Why'd you get knocked up? Why didn't you use birth control or something?
Well, I guess hindsight is always 20/20. I don't know. You're 17. You think that it's not going to happen to you.
Right.
I don't know.
And you were going to get married at what, 18?
Yeah.
Also a bad idea.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Completely agree with you there.
So what has this done to your life? Now you're 26. What has this done to you?
Well, what it's done, I mean, all the way around, the biological father was married and in the military, so when they found out and it came back saying that he was the father, he was almost court-martialed because in the military you do not have affairs. It's not like civilian life where it's no big deal. It's a very big deal, so it almost completely, it very much hurt his military career. And my son is now 9 years old and doesn't have a father. He pays child support, but he won't have anything to do with him still. Yeah. So I'd say it's very bad.
Yeah.
You know, I have a boy who's not going to grow up having his father around because of this.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I understand how he feels and your ex-fiancé feels. Both of them.
Yeah, like I said, it's not worth it. It was pretty embarrassing having to tell everybody, no, actually, he's not the father.
Also, it reinforces what I tell guys all the time. No matter how cute your girlfriend or wife is, no matter how nice they are, no matter how sweet they are, get a DNA test for every child born in your life.
You know, and my fiancé now, we have a 2-year-old son, and that's exactly, I told him that, even though the boy looks just like him. I said, I don't ever want it to be a question, ever, that he's not yours.
Most women would be insulted or would act insulted.
It's not insulting. I think that it's better to know. I didn't want there to ever be a doubt, especially considering my past and that he knew that. I said, I don't want you ever to doubt that this child's yours.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Amazing story, Jill.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
I got a question for you, man. My girlfriend found my porn collection, and she's kind of mad at me. She thinks that masturbation's just like cheating.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
At 18, masturbation is not only a birthright, it's a necessity.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Let's say hello to Gina on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Gina.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Anyways, I wanted to call you because this topic is a serious issue. And women that can do this kind of thing, I mean, it pisses me off. And I have personal experience with this. I'm a 35-year-old woman, and my mother lied to me and to my father and to the man she called my father for 14 years. And she told me for 14 years, basically, that somebody was my father. That wasn't. And then when all of a sudden my real father, quote-unquote, came into her life again, and she spilled the beans that, you know, he was really my father. So she basically destroyed, like, all of our lives in one fell swoop.
And it was all about her.
It was all about her. And it really has raised, like, some serious issues with me as far as growing up, trust issues. It made me hate my mother. It made me not able to really, you know, trust because she was the only, you know, support I had at the time. My real father didn't want anything to do with me, and neither did the man that raised me basically as his own.
And how did he find out you weren't his daughter?
She told him after 14 years.
What was the motivation for that? Because she wanted to get with the other guy?
You know, I have really absolutely no idea, and I don't even discuss it with her. But I don't know what that whole thing was about. I don't know. And any woman that could do that, I mean, not only, you know, granted, yeah, to the guy, I mean, if the guy has to pay child support for a kid that's not his own, yeah, fine, whatever, you know, he can sue her later on, say. But what about the kid? You know, what about their emotional state? With DNA testing and with everything that's going on these days as far as, you know, a kid can find out if that's their real father or not. And when that happens, it's just going to be nothing but hell for that woman and for everybody involved. And
Does your mother try to bring you back into her life?
Yeah, I mean, I have a relationship with her, but it's not a trusting one. I absolutely do not respect her.
And she knows that?
Oh, yeah.
And does she care?
She does care. But you know what? It's too bad. And it's too late, and it's too sad.
Wow.
It's just too bad. And I feel for all these kids because I know it happens every damn single day. And it basically ruins, I mean, as a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid, if you were to find out something like that, you're just building your identity. And I just can't imagine, I mean, this going on still in this day and age with DNA testing and with all the testing that's out there. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know why every man out there doesn't demand a DNA test. Every time a child is about to be born, you've got to demand it.
If I were a man, I would. I would, not only just to protect myself, but to protect that poor kid that's growing up into this world. You know what I mean? I wanted to call you because, like I said, it's near and dear to my heart. It's something that's affected me greatly, but on the other end, I was the kid.
Thank you, Gina.
Yeah, definitely. All these women should definitely think about what the hell they're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for the call. Lynn on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I, too, have had this happen to me, but unfortunately it was just about 2 years ago when I was 22.
And how did it come down? I mean, what was the reason?
Well, my sister had told me that she had heard my grandmother of my dad speaking to my aunt saying that they never thought I was his. And I just started thinking about it, and I never looked anything like him or his side of the family. He was short with brown hair, and I'm tall and blonde. And I asked him if he'd take a test with me, and he said yes, because he always kind of thought about it too, because him and my mother weren't really getting along at the time.
How did he react when he saw the results?
Well, we did it through an internet site in Canada, and they mailed the results to him. They told us the first time that when the results were supposed to be due that there was a problem.
I'm sorry we're out of time. Thank you, though.
The Tom Leykis Show.